Just want to start by saying thank you so much for taking the time out and sit down and chat with me. I suppose we should start right at the beginning. How did you first fall in love with performing?
So I suppose I've loved performing as long as I can remember, really. I feel like everyone always talks about having a very active imagination, and I was no different. Um, I did my first ever show when I was about 9 or 10 years old. My school did The Lion King,
Oh,
and I was Scar,
oh wow.
which I think that was sort of my first foray into maybe a bit of comedic acting,
Hmm.
and it was the first time I really had the space and freedom to just have a presence
Hmm.
and for people to watch and engage with what I was doing. So yeah, I think that's kind of what first started it off. And then I did a lot of community theatre in Cardiff at the New
Hmm.
Theatre with the Scout and Guide Gang Show. So I've been very fortunate to always be working on something
Hmm.
uh, every year, usually around Christmas time as well, which makes me
Yeah.
feel really
Oh,
nice and
fantastic.
festive.
You've got a kind of a lucrative award that we've done shows together. With quite a few
Exactly,
people who've
exactly
performed
that.
alongside me. But yeah, that's it's fantastic. And obviously your career has grown and grown since the time we were together and since kind of we've last been able to meet up. But one of the new hobbies that I wasn't aware of is your love of improv. So where did your love of improv theatre begin? How did that start?
Um, I think, I mean, I've always liked sort of SNL
Hmm.
and quite mainstream comedy, and a lot of those performers started out
Hmm.
doing improv because it was an accessible form of theatre. It was very collaborative. So, like the Second City in Chicago is like one of the great names of
Hmm.
improv comedy. And then myself and my good friend Tom Carruthers, who I went to drama school with, we sort of bonded over this as well as a lot of Christopher Guest movies.
Hmm.
So he does a lot of mockumentaries, so spoof
Hmm.
documentaries, where the entire thing is improvised and you just set the camera up and people talk
Well.
to the camera as these wacky
Hmm.
characters. So I really wanted to explore something along that
Hmm.
route as well,
Yeah.
which is how
So
it
obviously,
came to
improv
be.
is very different from sort of scripted acting. So what was
Mhm.
it like the first time you went in for not a rehearsal, but a creative session of improv? What was that like?
Um, it's interesting. So uh, I obviously did this improvised film last summer
Mm,
with Tom, and we sort of sat down and discussed sort of the general outline of what we
hmm
wanted it to be, the kind of characters that we wanted to play and display, and so we kind of, I suppose, contradictory to a lot of the typical improv form. We pre-planned certain elements of it,
mm.
and then we got in the room and started just having conversations with each other
Okay.
as our characters, kind of like hot seating one
Mm,
another. So I guess like that element of it was quite daunting, but we had the outline and the general plan to fall
mm.
back on as well. And I think it's such a nice feeling when you feel like okay, the jokes are kind of flowing out of me now, and
Mm.
I've got someone who's a good sounding board that can just bounce back and forth
Mm.
off of. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And you mentioned the improvised movie,
Yes.
yes, and so where
Mhm.
did that come from, and how did that come to be?
So as I say, we were watching a lot of Christopher Guest films, and we really loved this idea of a mockumentary.
Hmm.
So this one is quite layered in that it follows an improv group, all
Okay.
all young people at university who are trying to make it into the big leagues. So even though we are kind of poking fun at improv artists, it's meta because the whole
Mm.
script is improvised. So it's kind of it's a little bit self-deprecating, I suppose, and it's showing that at its core we do have a lot of love
Mm.
for the art form as much as, the stereotype is that they're all a bit nerdy and awkward and maybe don't know like
Mm.
how to structure their jokes in the best way. Um, and yeah, so
Mm.
that's kind of how
Oh,
it came to
fantastic.
be.
And so obviously the building of the movie.
Mhm.
So obviously with it being improvised, did there times where you went, "Oh, this didn't work, this did, let's keep this in, let's do this again," and not what we did then? Was that part of the process?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of material to cut down, and there
Hmm.
was a lot of of takes that we could not use, whether it be because we took a joke too far in one direction and it just lost all sort of meaning, or people were breaking around us because they genuinely didn't know what we were going to say next, so they couldn't really prepare for it. Um, but yeah, I found that a really fun creative process because there were no rules, so
Hmm.
you could literally you had the sort of general basis of like this is what we want you to talk about in the
Hmm.
scene, and then from there it could like spiral out and out and out. So then we ended up having whole new plot points that we hadn't originally planned, and it was
Oh,
just
wow.
from
Yeah.
them being mentioned that we thought, okay, let's pick this up in a flashback or in a later scene and make sure we reference this
Yeah.
so that it
Wow.
kind of that we
Yeah.
have a
Cool.
common thread.
Oh, fantastic. So it's not just improv that is kind of a new passion of yours that I, through my research, have discovered. You've also recently gone to writing. So how
Yeah.
did your writing journey begin? What made you want to start?
I suppose again, I've always really done it from a young age. And then it was only once I went to drama school that it was kind of nurtured beyond that. So we had a lot of modules that were quite focused on devising your own work.
Hmm.
Um, and I pitched and produced my first one act play in my third year. And then from there, I was like, okay, I feel like
Hmm.
this is the path that I want to go down.
Hmm.
And so it took a little while to sort of hone my style, and I think I'm still doing that
Hmm. Lovely.
in large respect. But yeah, I think the last sort of year or so, I've tried to knuckle down and make stuff that I want to see,
Hmm.
as well as what I want,
Hmm. You
to
obviously said
to
this is
be
still
in.
honing your skills, but it's clearly going well because you have had your writing debut for Women
Ah,
Then
thank you.
World. So what is that story about? Where did that come from specifically?
So Woman in World came out of just countless conversations with friends, with colleagues, with near strangers, all about their experiences in specifically reproductive
Hmm.
healthcare. So a lot of female-bodied people being either dismissed when they go to the doctors
Hmm.
or being given the wrong treatment or medication, and just generally not having a sense of confidence instilled in them about their own bodies. And so I did a lot of research into that. And the more I found, the more just
Hmm.
gobsmacked I was with like the state of
Totally.
healthcare and just the lack of research
Hmm.
into the female body, uh, and the lack of inclusion in medical
Hmm.
research. And so I wanted to talk about this, but obviously it's a really heavy
Hmm.
topic and I didn't want to sort of lose people or be too soapboxy about it. So I thought, how can I sort of get this across
Hmm.
in a comedic or satirical way? So I ran with this idea of like a foreign entity, which is where the sort of alien allegory came from. So
Ah.
essentially, the story is about a woman who goes to the doctor, not really sure what is wrong with her, and she's told that she has an alien parasite living in her body. So it's a very absurd piece, and it's full of like all these wacky ensemble
Hmm.
characters all rushing around telling her different things. And you've got this sort of central female character addressing the audience and confiding in us and
Oh,
giving
wow.
her take on everything. Uh, so you've got kind of the comedic form, but with,
Hmm.
quite
But an important
a
issue
heavy
at
topic
heart. Yeah.
underneath. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
So what was it like then seeing your show come to the stage then as the scene being built, the characters coming into it? What was it like seeing that?
It was very surreal. Like I was very fortunate to work with an amazing group of actors and directors
Hmm.
to sort of bring it to fruition,
Hmm.
as well as producers and stage managers who were just so quick to indulge my every crazy whim. Like I was writing these insane practical effects in and not expecting them to be able to do it. And then they'd come into rehearsals the next day and be like, okay, so we've got some ectoplasm and we've got a sample cut with a hole burned through it. And I'm like, how have I managed to have this life? Um, but no, it was really cool to see everything come off the page and just to be handled with so much care,
Mhm.
and everybody that was involved just had so much to say about it, and so many of their own thoughts, which was really, really
Mm.
invaluable
Mm.
when it came to rehearsing it.
Yeah, and what was the audience feedback like then? How did the people who were there in the room react to it?
Very well, I would say. Yeah, I think it went down a treat. It got a lot of laughs. It was actually one of several excerpts that were being performed as part of a huge
Hmm.
showcase. So it was a really nice opportunity to have not only, my own friends and loved ones show out, but, complete strangers to me as well.
Mm.
But I think, yeah, it was a really positive day overall.
Oh, fantastic. So we are coming to the end of my questions, but I have a couple more. So where
Sure.
can people stay up to date with you and all the wonderful things you're doing?
So I am on Instagram and YouTube as Rhian Acts. That's
Hmm.
Rhin Acts. I'm also in a theatre company. We're called Rhian Productions, Rhian underscore Productions on all the socials as well. I occasionally collaborate with them, either writing or acting or just running their social media. So
Mm.
I'm sure you'll see me in some regard over there as well.
I'll put the links in the comments below so people can just scroll down and click away. But what have
Sure.
you got coming up? What can you tease that we might see you in or you be involved with in the near future?
Well, I have another piece that I'm working on
Mm.
that we're doing a stage sharing of in the spring. This is a piece called Deep Fake, and it's all about sort of the internet and how
Mm.
particularly young people interact with it, and how we sort of search for intimacy in the digital world. So
Ooh.
that's currently in development. We're hoping to stage a reading of it sometime in March in Cardiff, actually.
Ooh,
So hope to
exciting.
see you there.
Yes, hopefully. I was just going to say, let me know.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's very exciting. And my final question is what
Mhm.
advice do you have for young people looking to get into the industry you're in?
It's really difficult because I feel like a lot of really sound advice that I've received from people older and more experienced than me, I've kind of not been able to heed
Hmm.
at the time. And a lot of it is, it does come from experiencing it yourself.
Hmm.
But the main thing I've learned in the last couple of years, even the last couple of months, is that it doesn't do to compare.
Hmm.
Like your journey is your own journey, and there is only one of you. And
Hmm.
so to hone that as much as you possibly can. Um, and there are so many ways that you can and will use the arts if you want
Hmm.
to. I think when I was sort of 16, 17, getting ready to leave home, I had this very rigid image of
Hmm.
what pursuing performing was going to look like. You go to drama school, you do a musical, and then that's your life forever.
Hmm.
Whereas I've been so, so fortunate to pursue the arts in so
Hmm.
many different ways, whether that be through teaching, facilitating, working with medical students, and
Oh.
developing works in progress and things like that. And it's been a really, really lovely uh, past few years, and none of it would have been what I
Hmm. Expected. Hmm.
anticipated was going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think it's just being open to opportunities and not putting yourself in a box before you've
Hmm.
had a chance to
Yeah.
explore lots of different things.
Fantastic. So I said it at the beginning, but I'll end the same way. Thank you so much for taking the time out to sit down and
Mhm.
chat with me. Obviously, I'm so
Thank you so much for having
excited
me. It's been
and
great.
proud of your journey so far. And obviously, getting the chance to chat and meet up again has been fantastic. Next time you're in Cardiff, please do let me know, whether it's just for coffee or to see one of your fantastic shows.
Yes,
I'd really enjoy that. But yeah, thank you so
absolutely.
much, and I shall speak to you soon.